Good evening, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be up on stage, especially when it's to talk about Slack. Obviously, I'm part of Slack and Salesforce and have fallen in love with the product and happy to kind of share that with you today and see how we can kind of answer any questions that you have related to the product itself. Uh, Thank you so much for staying back. I know it's a Friday evening. Uh, Great attendance, great audience. So can we have a huge round of applause first before we get started, please, for everybody who has turned up. Great, thank you. I'm Himagna Banerjee, Business Value Services Manager for Slack at Salesforce. I typically work with our customers in trying to establish how they can get the most out of Slack. As you would expect, productivity and how they can get the most or drive productivity improvement out of Slack is a question that comes up in most of my discussions. And that's exactly what we'll kind of focus on over the next 15 odd minutes. Quick note before we get into the key aspects. We may talk about capabilities which are still in development. We may share data which is based upon estimates and assumptions. Would want you obviously to be cognizant of that while we go through the session. Any buying decisions that you would make, please make them based upon current capabilities only. Now, the reason why we are kind of talking about productivity is because almost every organization today is facing some sort of market disruption. Whether it's in the form of reduction in spending, whether it's in the form of increased competition, or even just pure higher customer expectations. Doing more with less is a key theme that has come up over the last 12 to 18 months. It's always been there, but the kind of emphasis has significantly increased just because of what is happening in the external environment. Now this, to kind of overcome this and what organizations are looking to do is change the ways of working. They want to move from complex systems to more simple and efficient ones. They are also looking to break the silos that have developed while they have scaled. Silos both in terms of teams that exist within the organization as well as the systems that they have onboarded. Almost a typical organization today has onboarded about 1,000 plus applications in various functions. Now that's great. You would want to focus on the use of tools and intelligent automation to drive productivity within your organization. But the problem essentially comes in when you are not able to leverage the true power of these applications. What you would ideally want is these systems to be interconnected, for these systems to talk to each other, so that you are able to get the most out of these applications. You have deployed a CRM, but that doesn't talk to your incident management system. You have a project management system, but you do not have it connected to your other applications. You have an HRMS system, but does that link to your learning management system? That is the challenge that organizations face today. Everybody is looking at these individual processes as separate puzzles, while they should be looking at it as the pieces of a single puzzle. The second kind of challenge that this has created, use of these multiple applications, is that the information that you have or the knowledge that exists within the organization is stored across these multiple platforms. Imagine a scenario. Your team, engineering team, has worked on a key high priority incident. They took hours to resolve it. But the resolution for that is sitting within the email inbox of one of your team members. The rest of the organization does not have access to it. Tomorrow, if that individual leaves, that information is completely lost within your organization, and you have to kind of redo everything again to be able to get to where you need to be to resolve those incidents. Not the most productive use of your employee hours. Let me share a quick incident. I was a strategy consultant before I joined Salesforce. And this was during my initial days as a strategy consultant. I was an associate, and I was working with this partner who was supposed to do, there was supposed to be a customer meeting later in the week. And we were working with this customer, and I was asked to do this headcount analysis. Now, what that means is there is this extensive spreadsheet that has been provided to me, which I need to do the complete analysis on, and present like a deck so that which has all the recommendations. Now, I spent as an associate close to 16 to 18 hours trying to get that ready, I thought I put up like the best possible analysis, put up a great deck, and showcased it to my partner. The partner said, this is great, but you shouldn't have taken 16 to 18 hours to do this. Here is a template that we have previously used. You should have just plugged in the data, and you would have got this done in 2 to 3 hours. What he described there, and he kind of resonated this, and this is a jargon that is there within the consulting world. He said, don't try and reinvent the wheel. Which is true, it's a consulting jargon, but it's also a key productivity principle. If you stop trying to reinvent the wheel on those routine tasks, you try and save time for your more other aspects which needs innovation, which needs time dedicated for those recommendations and key aspects. That's what you are missing out on by not having that repository of knowledge accessible to your entire organization. Let me look at the third aspect. Just the pure need for having these multiple applications, right? Today, obviously you would have an HRMS solution, you would have a payroll system and all of that. But today, if you need to raise a PTO request, you would have to go into your HRMS system and raise that. You would have to switch between your email to your chat to talk to your manager, and then go ahead and raise that within your HRMS. The sheer amount of time that you are spending switching between applications may not seem much to you at this point in time or as an individual. But a recent study that Harvard Business Review did put that time as 9% of your daily working hours. Let me just put this 9% into context a little bit more, right? So say if I took a little bit of assumptions and let's say we're looking at a typical organization, 1,000 employees, we're looking at, let's say, an average salary of, I took a round figure of 10 lakhs per year. And if I'm able to save 1/3 of the time that that individual is spending on these applications, just switching between applications, you are saving about 3 crores. We have not even talked about the KPI improvements that it would drive and the additional usage of the time that can go into more productive tasks. This is purely just the resource cost that we're talking about. And that's at 3 crores. That's what organizations are now realizing that needs to be focused on and want to move towards. And this is exactly where Slack plays. Slack is that productivity platform which helps you achieve all of this. Right from being able to accelerate your work through automation, to be able to act as the knowledge repository for all the conversational knowledge, all the files that have been shared with the organization. Whether you're sitting in a global team that's in the US or whether you're sitting in a different department which doesn't typically interact with you, if there is knowledge that exists within the organization, it gets stored and maintained within Slack. And there is obviously the aspect of bringing your teams closer, not just your internal teams, but also ensuring that you are able to connect with your external vendors, partners much faster than what you would be able to typically do. Now, obviously, all of this is made possible not just through Slack, but by making Slack the engagement layer for all other applications. And a key part of that is the rich integration that exists between Slack along with the other applications. Now that can be, obviously Slack is part of Salesforce, so there is rich integration between Slack and the Salesforce applications, as well as 2,600 plus other partner apps have developed apps that you can just with the click of a button install within your Slack environment and get work done faster. That's the objective that we drive towards. Now I can go through, you would see a list of capabilities mentioned on this particular slide. I can go through one of them one by one, but let me rather kind of take you through what my day typically looks like. I start my day within Slack reviewing the channels that I'm part of. Channels are basically groups of individuals. It can be a project-specific channel or it can be a function-specific channel that you have. I would look at the notifications and see what tasks have come up. If, for example, let's say there is an action item that I'm expected to work upon, I can just save it for later and it forms my to-do list for the day. My work is still happening within Slack. I haven't moved away from Slack to look at anything else as of yet. That's what you're trying to do through channels. Channels also retain the information that has been shared over the years. Now, that is, you combine that with the search capability available within Slack to ensure that, okay, I need to, let's say, prepare for a meeting. I can quickly look up if somebody else has already put together some material and not have to reinvent the wheel again and redo those slides. I can usually leverage those slides, analysis, or any documentation that has been put together by looking through what is already available in Slack. That's what channels and search enables. Let's get back to my day. I have looked at, let's say, looked at the channels. I've seen what's important for me to do. Now, I'm also part of the sales and distribution organization, and a key element of my work involves talking to customers and working with particular accounts. Now, what Slack has launched for every sales individual is what we call as Sales Elevate, a new space within Slack which brings in Salesforce CRM onto Slack. Now, how does that make your life easier? I can look at all the opportunities, all the accounts that I need to work with right within Slack and take action upon them. I can construct however I would want the sales form to look at based upon the metrics that I need to track on a day-to-day basis. It would also bring in all the notifications that happens within the accounts that I am interested in into this particular space. Let's get back to my story again. Let's say I opened up Sales Elevate, and now I see that there's a new account that I'm supposed to work upon. There's a new customer that I need to engage with. Now, for that, I'll obviously need to plan a little bit, prepare for upcoming discussions. This is where I can make use of what we call as Canvas within Slack. It's a space within Slack which can be associated with a particular channel, a particular account, or a separate for a particular team as well, where you can put in all the necessary information that you would want the entire team to be aware of. I can put in links to documents, I can put in tag individuals, even maintain checklists, however I would like, to ensure that this becomes the initial briefing document for a new project, for a new account, in the way you would want to customize it. Now, let's say I have looked at Canvas and I started preparing a document. Now, once I've done that, I need to plan for this customer meeting and I need to connect with my team. I can leverage huddles within Slack, which is a lightweight audio-video tool, to connect with them and quickly discuss, hey, this is what I'm thinking of. Does that make sense to you? Now, once I've done that, the object, again, you would obviously have your video conferencing and tool that you would have within your organization. The objective of huddles is to reduce those or replace those conversations where you would just go into somebody's desk, tap them on the shoulder, and tell them, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Does that make sense? You can now do that virtually and replace those lengthy meetings that you would otherwise have to set up. Our customers have benefited from this and been able to significantly reduce the time that they would typically spend on meetings on a per-day basis. Once I've done that, I can then, let's say in the meeting, action items got discussed, I have figured out what I need to do with my team for this particular account. I can then start leveraging lists within Slack, which is basically a project tracker. It can be a task tracker, it can be a project tracker, the way you would want to leverage it, to be able to track these items on an ongoing basis. Again, just drawing your attention back, all this is happening within Slack. I still haven't moved away from Slack to get my work done. Now, these are obviously work that I have done related to my interaction with my customers, just engaging with them, trying to make sure that I'm on track with my customer engagement. There are also these admin tasks that I would do on a typical day-to-day basis. Whether it is just getting the routine update from my team, I can do that by what we call as workflows within Slack. I can set up a notification on my Slack channel with my team to let them know that, hey, on a Friday evening, Friday 3 p.m., I need you to provide me the stated updates on ABC, whatever you have worked on through the week. I don't have to follow up, and ask them to give me that update. I don't need to execute my stand-up meetings. I can do them async through workflows. Now, the objective is obviously, I mean, you can still provide those updates over Slack by just typing it out for the individuals. But what Slack does is, what workflows do is basically structure or streamline that information. That's just one application that we're talking about. Think of an issue that you need to raise. You have, let's say an IT issue has come up. You would raise that issue through a workflow, and then you can leverage the integration that Slack has with your ticketing solution to convert that into a ticket from Slack itself. You have not moved away from Slack to get a ticket updated and ticket created. These are just a couple of applications. We have had our customers leverage them for multiple other use cases. Now, all this, what I've spoken about, is purely in terms of capabilities. These capabilities can be applied or has been applied to functions across the organization. Right from helping sales teams reduce the time that they would spend on deals, to reducing the average handling time of tickets, to reducing the incident resolution time. Slack has been leveraged for across functions and has delivered those improvements to key business metrics. The objective of Slack has always been to not just get you the return out of the investment that you're making on Slack, but also enabling you to get the most out of the other applications that you've already invested in. And this is where Slack has been loved by most of our customers, and we are trying to take this forward by driving innovation. We have heard generative AI has been the talk of the theme for today as well, and that's what we are bringing to Slack as well. Have you ever thought of a scenario, I always hated coming back from a vacation and just seeing the number of notifications or emails that I would have to go through. With generative AI within Slack, I can just ask Slack AI to summarize that for me and get up to speed faster. That's just one implication. You can obviously apply that to multiple other scenarios, whether it's in the form of just getting individuals up to speed on projects, getting individuals up to onboarded faster. Generative AI applied to your conversational data can yield those insights faster within your organization. And all this, obviously, there is an element of security to it. This is within Slack's environment and happens with all the security capabilities that Slack has to offer, the enterprise-grade security capabilities that Slack has to offer. So ensuring that your data is not interacting with any public data, and it stays within your organization. Because of these capabilities, these innovation is what has made Slack the choice productivity platform for most of our customers. And Slack is getting used by over 2 lakh companies across the globe. The reason why the focus on Slack has kind of increased over the last 12 to 18 months, especially in India, is because of this shift towards looking at productivity in a separate angle. That's all what we had. If you're looking to have a conversation, if you have any further questions, would be happy to talk to you separately. There's a booth outside. Would love to engage with you further. Thank you.